Well, very early in the morning here, about 10 to 6. Thought I would do a little bit of a walk around, show some interesting boats that are in the yard. This is Rogue One. Rogue One started out as a Southern Ocean 50, I believe, called Raw Nerve. I remember reading about it when I was a kid. There was two of them built. This one first started out at 50 foot. Had a bit of a checkered history when it was launched. One of the hulls broke off on its first delivery up the east coast of Australia. I remember reading about it in the Multi-Hull magazine of Australia. And they took her back, fixed her up, built at Hart Marine in Victoria. All carbon, full carbon boat. Pretty wild boat. Looks like a new carver furler on the front there. That looks pretty schmeck. Nice bit of kit. Anyway, she then had a pretty big racing history, and then was converted to a bit of a, probably about 10, 15 years ago, was converted to a bit of a performance cruiser. Spent a few years cruising up and down the east coast of Australia. You can see they've put a bow thruster in her. And this centre pod is where the living area is. She was designed by Brett Crowther and Stuart Bloomfield, I believe. You can see these little triangles on the front beam here. They are to, if the boat runs down a wave and that beam hits the wave crest, I believe that the beam can create suction into the wave. So that is to break the surface tension, I suppose, of the water as it comes along the bottom of the beam. It stops the water attaching to the beam and creating that suction down because of the beam shape. And that breaks it, supposedly. Very cool boat. But started out at 50 feet originally, then had to be lengthened to 56 because I believe they used to bury the bows a bit. But very cool boat. And Chloe and I actually looked at it a few years ago. But just not enough room and obviously missing a hull. And then we've got the awesome, this is Locke Crowther. This is Brett Crowther's father, Lockie, who's pretty famous in the multi-hull world. This is one of his boats, and you can see, very sort of similar lines. Got that shear in the bow, Got the bulb on the lower bow. Got the bulb on the little knuckle here. You can see, not a lot in the water here. This one's a pure race boat. Now, she was bought a few years ago by a pretty well-known Australian multi-hull sailor. And he put a lot of love into this boat and really brought her back to life and did a few years racing up and down the east coast where she was very successful. He spent a lot of money on her, new rig, new foils, new rudders. Yeah, really tricked her up, and she's awesome. It's one of my favourite sort of 50-foot race boats, this boat. You can see the blade here. A bit of carbon work on the tip. And then there's a rig on the ground. Yep, Top Gun, her name is. And originally, when she was launched, I believe in the 80s, she was called Top Gun. Very cool boat. Very, very cool boat. But you can imagine hardly any accommodation inside. And even though you can cruise her, she's very, very minimal. A bit like our old boat Spirit. Anyway, I thought I'd start our weekly little update with something a bit different. Show you a couple of the cool boats in the yard. Now we'll just walk back over here. All right, so what have we been up to this week? Well, first I should probably put on some lights because it is a little dark. It is pretty early. Pop on some lights. But yeah, again, awesome week. We've really been cracking out the work. Where will I start? I suppose down below here we'll start. Finally finished fairing here. I did a last fair the other day and then torture boarded the bottom here, and really happy with the shape. Super happy with everything. So that now will get a coat of high build, epoxy high build, and then we'll copper coat it. And once we copper coat that area, then we'll move the stands back and we can concentrate on the area around the board. Have been just working on a lot of the little patches that we're doing, fairing a little spot here where we pulled off a little bit of when we pulled those stainless steel massive drogue brackets off the back. We just pulled off a little bit of paint and lamination. So just fixing that up. You can see on the back step here, done a bit of fairing, just fairing in all these little holes that we've filled. Also, I put a hole in here. This is where we're going to have a fitting, and the fitting's up there. I'd like to show you these because they're pretty cool. Just give me a minute. Let's step up here without falling off. But yeah, these are like a water fitting, and they've got a one-way valve in them. So we'll fit that in there, and then we will have a carbon tube here with a radar on it, and in here we'll clip a hose with a shower head on it. So instead of having the hose hanging up the side of the boat and then around everything, the hose will run through the back cabin. We'll tee it into the bathroom, and then it'll come out here, clip it on. You can have an aft deck shower that way because we always shower on the back deck here. And then another thing is this area here. I've pretty much faired all of this. This will be ready for some high build soon as well. Let's go up the top. We've removed, we did remove those pad eyes, but we've filled in the holes and we've ground them back. We've put some fairing compound over all these little holes, which has been really good. Getting these little jobs done slowly but surely is really good, you know. There's just so many of them. But the big job and the big news is that the cabin's off. The new cabin's gone. We didn't like the shape of it. We're actually not really happy with the shape of it, so we thought no, only joking. It looks awesome. We love the new cabin. And we've just taken it off because it's downstairs now, ready to be glassed on the inside. But yeah, you can see the old cabin is a lot smaller, but yeah, that'll come off soon. And Chloe's been sanding the foredeck here, patched up this hole, ripped off this. There was a huge, it was like a head of a Samson post. You know, it was like, I think it was for like if the boat needed to be towed or if the boat was sitting on a big mooring or something. I think that's what this big block was around the top of the staysail here. There's so many ways to tie a boat if you've got to tow it. And this was all rotten. You could tell that there was water in it. It was just an individual laminated piece of plywood. So I just chiseled it off, and then I got the grinder and ground it out. Really nice. Pulled off these bits of timber that used to sit here, and they're just to stop the line going over the top here. But there's so many ways to tie up a boat that, you know, I'm happy to get rid of this stuff because I know that I can tie the boat up a lot differently. I always run a bow line from as far forward as I can get, because that's the whole point of a bow line. Anyway, yep, this has been blocked up. Anchor locker at the moment's being moved aft as well. Jamie started to cut that out. I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, there's the old roof with the windows cut in it. We're going to have an extra window. We're going to have the 2 windows at the front. Obviously it comes out, the new cabin comes out to the black line there. And then we'll have a window in the shoulder here, just in this corner. And then there'll be another 2 windows. And the window will also come a bit further back. And the mullions will be vertical, and they're running over with unis. And then there's a uni band or a biax band around the bottom when we glass the cabin top onto the boat. And then there's a big triaxial band that runs around the top of the cabin that ties everything together. So it's going to be super strong, a lot stronger than what was there. And I'm not sure if you can see, I'll go onto the inside, but yeah, the next thing to do, once we've got the cabin glass down below, the next thing to do will be to cut this off and then to start prepping this area for the new cabin to come on the top. But the reason we're leaving this up here for now is because we're making a hard top that goes over the cockpit. And to make that hard top, we want to get the same camber as we've got on the roof here, the saloon top. We want to have the same shape. It's a really hard thing to do when you're making additions like a hard top for a boat. Our big thing is that we don't want to take away from Spirit's shape. We think that she's beautiful. We really love all the shapes, the curves and everything. And even with this new cabin, we're a bit worried about changing that. That's why we've moulded it to the old cabin, and all we did was make it wider. So it should look exactly the same. It's just a little bit wider and 25 mil higher. So about 1 inch higher, which you shouldn't really notice. So yeah, cutting it off, prepping, and then the old roof, old roof comes off and new roof comes on. And so the hard top, we're trying to make it'll be the same camber, the same shape, and even we're going to try and get the same angle, and then we'll just have some 4 carbon posts that hold it up. And then that way we'll be able to get some really nice clears and shades made. And in the future, we'll be able to put more solar up on top of the roofs as well if we need it. We feel like we've got plenty of solar at the moment. Take inside, have a quick look. Not a lot going on inside at the moment because we've been working on that cabin top all last week. But Jamie's been doing a bit of work in here. You can see he's cutting out the cupboard. That's where the new anchor locker will go, which will be awesome. And then that floor will go in. This floor will be worked on. And then the cabin, we've got to do a bit of work to this bulkhead as well. We've got to cut that cupboard down. We've got a lot of work to do. There's still a heck of a lot going on and a lot to do. I've run unis across here. So I ground out the crack, got right back into that, checked everything underneath it, and filled the crack with some glue, and then ran unis over it to combine those 2 separate pieces. And then I put a bit of triaxial over it as well to really beef it up. Ripped off, that's another thing that was a bit odd. There used to be turning blocks here. I'll go down and show you them. There was a little foot block. So the runner would come off there, go through the foot block, and then go to a jammer there. And it just didn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why the runner has got to cross the deck. So I could not think of a good reason. I've asked a lot of riggers and a lot of people I know. No one can think of a reason why. It's not like the runner needs to be held inboard. The mast is on the centre line, so the runner's being pulled inboard anyway. So we're just going to run the runner straight up the side, and to alleviate having to step over it twice to walk around the side deck. It's just an added danger while we're at sea, another thing to trip over. And these stuck out quite a way. They stuck out a few inches, and they took up quite a bit of space of the side deck, and you would kick your feet on them, occasionally. So, our whole mantra, minimal. So, the less stuff, the better. So anyway, we'll get rid of them. We'll hang on to them. If I do find that there was a need for them, we can put them back on. It's easy to put stuff back on. Yeah, we've got our little lamination table. You can imagine there's been a lot of laminating going on. And here it is. Here's the roof. I spent half a day in it the other day once we got it off. Jamie cut these holes in the side. So you can see these holes here. There's 4 of them. So the roof was obviously up the other way. We got a crane in here. We had to get a franner, which is like a front, one of those cranes that hang off the front. And then we just put 4 slings through the holes and then just stuck some timber through there, and they acted like dog bones. Lifted the roof up, lifted it off the boat, put it down on the ground over there. Then we flipped it over, and then we've just brought it in here, and it's pretty light actually. You can see we can pick that up pretty easy. So pretty happy with the weight, nice and light. And that's, it's got a lot of MDF on it at the moment. There's probably about 40 kilos of MDF on there, just working as a strong back. We built this over it before we took it off. Jamie built this strong back, and that just gets the roof to hold its shape, so that when we lifted the roof off, we didn't have to worry about it losing its shape. And then that'll allow us, now we will glass the inside of this exactly the same as we've done on the outside. We'll glass the inside, then we'll run our unis, and the unis create like I-beams, really stiffen it up. So we'll run the unis across, 2 uni bands, and then there's uni bands up here in the mullions. And the mullions are just like the pillars beside the windows, and we call them mullions. And so those mullions, which you can see here, if I look underneath, you can see those uni bands. So the windows will be on either side of those. So pretty stoked. Came up really good. Really happy with the way it came up. Chloe and I and Jamie pretty much spent all last week laminating it. It was a lot of work. And just really happy with the way it came up. It's looking awesome. Spent the day yesterday sanding the rudder. So taking that copper coat right off, and took this right back as well. This is the hard epoxy. So the secret with copper coat, it's an epoxy. It's a water-based epoxy that has copper granules mixed into it, like a copper dust. And what happened was, when they fixed the boat a few years ago, I believe it says in the report that I found on the boat, that they couldn't get the real copper coat, so they made their own. And instead of using water-based epoxy, they just use like West Systems epoxy. So that's why it's darker. It's darker because I believe, from my understanding, is the copper can't break down as easily, or it can't break down at all, because it's pretty much encapsulated, and so it stays that darker colour. Whereas with the water-based, it breaks down a lot easier. Yeah, that's my understanding anyway. Maybe someone in the comments can add a bit more to that, but from everything I've been able to find out with copper coat, it really needs to be the water-based epoxy. Anyway, we've cleaned that up. We've taken the nylon off the cheeks of the rudder case there. We'll have to, I'd really like to not put nylon back. I'd like to fair that, and I'd like to have it the perfect shape. So we'll see how we go. Got to work on the board, And yeah, got a few more little jobs up there, but the big things now is really glassing the inside of this, and then it'll be time to fair it and also to do the windows. The windows are something I'll talk about in another video, how we're going to do the windows, because it's being done, they're being made, the frames, the window frames are being made by Danny over here on the other side of the yard. He's a very experienced multi-hull builder, and he's going to make the window frames, and maybe in another video I can get him to talk about how he's making them and why we're making them the way we are. But yeah, they're really, really cool. You just cut the window out, stick the frame in, and pretty much the window frames will be done. Nice and easy. We're trying to do everything as quick and as easy as we can, but we're getting there. Really good week. We got a heap done. This was a massive job. To get that done was massive, so really happy about that, and to get it off the boat, and for this week the inside to be ready to be done. But yeah, that's about it. I would like to quickly talk to you about something else. Give me a second. So these are the blocks that came off the side of the cabin that the runners used to run through. Again, more weight. Definitely losing a lot of weight, which we're pretty happy about. And yeah, so I just wanted to show you, these are our old jammers, our old Lumar jammers. You see they're massive, heavy beasts. And this is what we're going to replace them with. Look at the size difference. That'll hold 1.5 tonne, which is more than enough for a majority of our lines. And yeah, these are awesome. Braking load of over 3 tonnes and working load of 1.5 tonne. So pretty happy about that. They're a really nice jammer. These old ones wear the lines out. I'm just going to put the phone down on a stand. Give me a second. Yeah, so these old jammer type, this old jammer type here, or clutch, or these are really a jammer. You can see they have these spaced bars inside them, and what they do is when you close the jammer, they make the rope go up and down around these bars, which captures it. It puts a lot of load on the case, on the outer case of the rope, and they wear the same as the jammers with a cam in them, with a little half cam. They really put a lot of weight just on the case, whereas these jammers, I don't know if you can see in the end there, what they have is you can see the shape of them like a wedge. So they have a wedge on the bottom and the top, and as the rope pulls them in, they squeeze tighter and tighter onto the rope. So they just wear the case a little bit less. And to open them, you just pull and they click. And then to close them, you just press the button on top here, this button, and then they close. Yeah, really pretty stoked that we've been able to find those. And yeah, so there'll be quite a few of those around the boat, but what's really nice is they're a little bit smaller, well, a lot smaller, and a little bit lighter as well. And they're all stainless, so there's no dissimilar metals, there's no aluminium with stainless or anything weird like that. They're just all stainless. And you just undo the hex head or the Allen key just there, and then the whole body slides out and you can service them. Pretty happy about that. And they're pretty reasonably priced. So, you know, normally, you know, high-load jammers, you pay quite a lot of money for them. So, yeah, pretty happy that we've been able to find those. And that's about it, folks. It's, yeah, it's been a really big week of laminating. I made up, yeah, you can see, where is it, down here? Yeah, I made up this fiberglass mount as well. This used to be the mount here. This crappy bit of plastic was the mount for the RFU, the rudder feedback unit. which you can see is just hanging there. So now that will get bonded to the back wall or the back bulkhead of the boat, and then the rudder feedback unit will fit on that. It's much, much nicer. And because it'll be bonded to the wall, we don't have to worry about screws going into a balsa bulkhead and water going into it. Yeah, I've got to sand this back today. I put a bit more bog up here. You can see I've closed these hatches now. We put a little note in there the other day, and then we sealed it up and closed it. So these two voids, instead of being full of water, which they pretty much were all the way back from Costa Rica, they're now going to be watertight. Someone did mention the exhaust, saying, oh, but you may want to get to the exhaust. And that's true, you're spot on. We will want to get to the exhaust. But the exhaust doesn't start here. The exhaust starts on the other side of the bulkhead. This is a fiberglass tube. And it's fiberglass on the inside and the outside of the stern on the transom here, and also at the bulkhead. So it's totally sealed, and it's a really thick fiberglass pipe. There's no heat here as well. Once the exhaust gets back to here, it's cool. So I see no reason why we need to get to this pipe on the inside. I stuck the camera in. I took a lot of video and photos of both of these compartments so I could check their condition. And yeah, I don't think we're going to need to get to it. And if we do, we just cut it open again. I know that there's a soft patch here, and we can just cut it open. Not a problem. But if this pipe needs to be replaced, it's going to be more than just getting in the top. You're probably going to have to cut the whole transom out here to replace that, but we're not going to have to do it. That's a forever pipe. And the exhaust connects to it on the other side of the bulkhead inside the cabin. So yeah, we should be all good to go there. Got these other little bits fed up here on the port side there. So yeah, slowly getting there. Really happy that we're going to have that shower connection outside. It's been really horrible having the hose hanging around everywhere. We'll have a nice, really neat little shower hose there now, which works really well for cleaning the dinghy as well. You know, you sort of come back from the beach with a dinghy full of sand. It's nice to have a shower there. We'll probably start sanding some of the copper coat soon. And then I'll start applying it. I'll start applying some high build, and then once I've got the high build on, then I'll start to put on some copper coat. But yeah, our main goal this week we'll be glassing the inside of this and starting to fair it, and then prep upstairs. So yeah, quite a long road to go. Still got a fair bit on the go, but yeah, but we're getting there. We're getting there, which is awesome. Anyway, folks, that's a bit of a shorter weekly update. But I hope everyone's going really well. Hope everyone else had a really great week and that you're kicking goals. And yeah, look at this beautiful day today. Got my mum and dad coming down for lunch, which is awesome. It's really nice to be in a part of the world where they can just pop down and have lunch with us. All right, everyone, have a fantastic weekend. And all the best, as always, from Chloe and I, and the awesome spirit. Cheers for now.